actually have a lot of cash in your position, and your financials can look very robust. For the client, it's something that they don't have a choice at this point. The federal government, for example, talking of public sector, through the different ministries, departments, and agencies, are being asked to comply with the no premium, no cover policy. So even when those government infrastructures, those big transactions are being consummated, premiums must be paid almost immediately. And of course, the clients, the budget for insurance has always been really in most organizations, whether private sector or public sector. It's only that most times they don't give priority to the fact that insurance can wait. But now insurance can no longer wait, because you will not have your assets protected until premiums are paid.
Interesting. Now, is this going to make the insurance companies, because we still do record, although the number has dropped or the incidences have dropped, of insurance companies being a little resistant to prompt claim settlements, now that they perhaps will have more robust balance sheets as the premiums come in
Okay.
early and on time, is that going to make the process less painful?
Yeah, the way it's going to go going forward, that's why I said it's a new world of opportunity within the insurance space. In 2012, for example, you had NICOM, for example, that NICOM, National Insurance Commission, they were able to ensure that for some claims that had some dispute, they had like a 1.2 billion naira claims cumulatively settled for various clients. What's going to happen now is that there will not be any excuse. Premiums will have been collected, monies will have been invested properly. So when claims arise, of course, the insurance company will rise up to that occasion. There will not be any liquidity or solvency issue coming from anywhere.
And no outrageous requirements, go and get this report, go and get that report, before we know how did that...
Even before the enforcement of these acts, the truth is the claims process is very seamless as we speak.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very seamless.
Well, that's good to know.
And if a client is not happy or has an issue with an insurance company, there's a bureau called Claims Dispute Resolution Center within NICOM that you can make your complaints to. Last 2012, you had up to like 350 complaints, out of which 83 were resolved within that same year, and the clients were happy at the end of the day.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Let's just take a break at this point. We'll come back to talk more about that, looking this time perhaps on the policymakers themselves. I've been talking to Ayo Ogunkeye. He's an insurance expert, and we have been tracking the latest developments in the insurance subsector. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We've been talking about Nigeria's insurance sector, looking at the latest development in the last 15 minutes or so. We've been looking at the no premium, no cover policy enforced from the 1st of January this year by NICOM. And I've been talking to Ayo Ogunkeye. He's an insurance expert. He's also the managing director of Seplat. Innovat, I beg your pardon, Innovat Insurance Association. Thank you so much for sticking around. Now, Let's move on. There have been other reports. One caught my eye during the week, talking about the government, ministries, departments, and agencies. The fact that they may not have been paying their premiums in the last couple of years, and that many of them, the assets, actually, as we speak, quite exposed in terms of the fact that if there were to be any major disaster loss, as it were, these assets are not protected, and the premium, unpaid premium, may have run into as high as 24 billion. Well, the federal government hasn't commented on that, but as an expert, you're a major player in the industry. Is that true?
Well, prior to this time, I am aware of the fact that a lot of by practice or by practice, most government. All government infrastructures, both at the ministry level, department, agencies, they have a budget for insurance. When every year they have, in their approved budget, there is insurance premium, there is insurance line in terms of the amount they're supposed to spend to insure the assets that they have and all of that. That's what is in the books. The implementation is usually an issue. When you have a ministry or a parastatal or an agency that is supposed to insure its assets to the tune of several billions of naira, by way of priority, you will begin to see that some of those insurances are not put in place. So prior to this time, in the last couple of years, more than 10 years ago, even up to as we speak, some government agencies actually owe insurance premiums. That's the truth. A whole lot of premiums are outstanding at government. Some remit premiums, 50% of it, and don't remit the remaining 50%. Some remit 75%.
Even though the money is there,
well, the money is being voted for. Whether it's there is what I'm not sure about. But that's what has been the practice. So we've had cumulatively an accumulation of outstanding premium, not even only at government level, but even in private sector. But the government is, we're discussing government now because we believe that being a responsible institution, they should be the one that would brace the trail of a policy.
Lead by example as well.
They will lead by example of the enforcement of this policy. Also, 2-3 years ago, we have what we call the MDRI, which is the Market Development and Restructuring Initiative. And one of the highlights of that is the fact that there are some compulsory insurances that must necessarily be in place. There is insurance of public buildings. There is insurance of health insurance. There is insurance of third-party motor vehicle minimum, and several other insurances under that compulsory insurance. And we believe that as events unfold or as we go on in the actual practice of insurance, if because of all these initiatives coming from NICOM, there will be, like I said, the brighter days are here, and there will not be those issues of outstanding premium any longer. We've been able to enforce from January up to this point the how do I put it, the no premium, no cover, which some people call cash and carry kind of insurance. Once we begin to apply it all across all classes of insurance, because that's the truth, there is no exemption in the class of insurance, whether it's third-party insurance or comprehensive or fire or burglary or life or health, you're supposed to pay your premium in advance.
The success rate has been high so far.
Yeah, the success rate for this year, if you ask me, the success rate has been 80%.
Private sector.
Private sector. Public sector, I would say, for those that have paid, for those policies that have been put in place, the success rate also is above 70%. Now,
70%. Well, if we're still talking about MDAs owing billions, I mean, in unpaid.
That's actually a cumulative of what has happened several years ago up to this point.
Is that going to be written off? How is NICOM, industry players, and the MDAs? How are you going to untangle this?
Well, I actually think that for me, I think that the starting point is to ensure that we don't have accumulations any longer. For those that are being owned, discussions will be ongoing. If there's a need for NICOM to intervene, NICOM will come in, sit down with all the parties involved, because I mentioned to you that there's a claims dispute resolution kind of bureau or center in NICOM. So for those insurance companies that have those huge outstanding premium from government and they seem not to be getting the kind of audience they want, they can team up with NICOM, call such agencies, ministries, departments into a meeting. Then they'll